Hey guys, Phobia again. Today I'm bringing you guys a second guide for a second build you guys can run. It is going to be strictly a proc and AoE build. So if you guys have troubles out there, I get a lot of comments on my other guide from a couple days ago saying that a lot of you guys have issues being trained and some of the talents don't feel good for you guys specifically to use because of that. So I have been talking to some other shadow priests and comparing notes and finding out a easy beginners type build, which is what we have for you guys right here. So this one puts out an extreme amount of throughput, almost no casting at all, and it's proc based, so you don't have to worry about oh, I got to cast this, get this damage out. There's only like maybe one or two things you're gonna have to consistently cast, but this is what we're gonna go with here. So I am using the Shadow Word Death build in this proc base as well, just because that's how we're going to start out. So a lot of the talents are going to be the same as my other guide. We're going to go with Dispel Magic, Purify Disease, Improve Flash Heal, Protective Light, Leap of Faith, Mass Dispel, Improve. I like using Improve Mass Dispel in all the builds. I just think it has too much value to not use it. We're going to go with Move of Grace to reduce Leap of Faith cooldown. We're going to go with Body and Soul Still over Angelic Feather, one less keybind. Like I told you guys before, unless you have a Freedom, I don't feel like Angelic Feather is all that great. I don't really see a need for Shackle Undead anymore. Unless you're trying to go for CC on DKs, very niche situations. It's just, it doesn't seem as needed. You could run it into, like I said, Windwalker DK or and such like that during the arena season. But as of right now, I don't use it. Double PI. Gotta have double PI at all times. Having two PIs up is insane for damage, especially in shadow play, God comp, essentially anything you're gonna run. Twist of Fate for on your burst. You might get right in death range of somebody, get that extra 10% increased damage. Could be a huge finishing right there. So you gotta go Twist of Fate. Translucent Image, which gives you the wall. Improve Fade, which reduces your fade in general, so you get your wall up faster. But Fade is also your freedom, going through Phantasm up here on the top, right? And then Void Shift. So that's going to be going down that side. On the right side, we're going to go Shadow Fiend, Shadow Word Death. These are baseline, right? All these. Then we're going to get Death and Madness and Tilt Evasion, so you take less damage from your death. Death and Madness here, when somebody fails to die from your Shadow Word Death, you get another one, right? So this is a good one to have here for this specific build based on procs, and since if you can't kill somebody, you can finish them off. All right. Obviously, you have to go Mind Control, Phantasm, like I said, for your freedom. We're gonna go here and get Void Tendrils because having a root as a Shadow Priest is just insane to think about. Vampiric Embrace and Saniline. Saniline increases your Vampiric Brace healing and reduces its cooldown. Throes of Pain. All this does is increases your Shadow or Pain damage. It's just a filler. And then the full Mind Games tree here. Mind Games, Manipulation to reduce your Mind Games by Mind Blast and Mind Spike. Well, guess what? We're playing a proc build. This is insane. And Shadow Perception, which just increases your Mind Games damage. We're going to go over here. Devouring Plague is baseline. Dispersion, Shadow Apparition, Silence. Lock it in. Go down into here. Intangibility. Reduces the cooldown of Dispersion and increases its healing. Got to go for it. Misery, very important for every single Shadow Priest PvP. Every time you view Vampiric Touch, you get a free Shadow or Pain. Don't have to cast, saves your global. We're going to go to Psychic Horror over Last Word because we want to have a stun. And then Mind Spike, Surge of Darkness. This is what gives you instant Mind Spikes. This is what gives you the proc, right? So your Vampiric Touch and Devouring Plague damage has a chance to cause your next Mind Spike to be instant and deal 200% additional damage. You get 3 procs of this. You can get up to 3 procs of this. Well, there's your proc. That's one of them, right? And it increases its damage. Again, as you guys know from my other guides, all of these procs bounce into each other, and we'll go over that at the end. So from Surge of Darkness, you're going to get Mind Melt. Mind Spike reduces the cast time of your next Mind Blast by 50% and increases its critical strike by 25%. This stacks twice. So what does that mean? Every 2 Mind Spikes, you get an instant Mind Blast. So that proc, right, just the Surge of Darkness proc will count towards that, and you might get 2 or 3. So you can get Surge of Darkness, Mind Melt, Instant Mind Blast, into another Surge of Darkness, into a half Mind Blast, right? And get critical strikes off that. You can generally, in a perfect scenario, that's what you would get, right? And then maybe a Mind Blast proc, which it would be on the other side of the tree. So from Mind Melt, we're going to go down here and grab Damnation. This puts all your dots on a target. So your VT, your Shadow Wear Pain, and your Devouring Plague. Well, guess what? No cast, free dots, all three of them. There's triple mastery right there. You max out your mastery. You get your dots out for free. Don't have to worry about getting kicked. Then down here, Insidious Ire. That's for you, man in the comment who I told you I love saying Irie, but I'll say Ire this one time just for you. So what this does here is it makes your Mind Blast do 40% increased damage when you have all three dots on target. So you can, for instance, you can get a Surge of Darkness. Don't overthink this, but this is a perfect scenario. You get a Surge of Darkness into an instant Mind Blast with the Mind Blast proc with a Damnation up. So you can have 2 instant Mind Blast, and then you Damnation, Mind Blast, and then you have huge Mind Blast with Insidious Ire, and they can crit. So I've had, like I said, 30, 40k Mind Blasts. They're insane. And then the last part of this one is Ad Mazoth. It's just a passive. You don't have to worry about it. It just stacks a debuff on the target, and it has a chance to blow up and then drop all stacks one by one, and just does AoE damage. It's consistent. It can get people out of stealth. It's really nice. I love it. It's a great passive to have. It doesn't do the most damage, but it's pad damage, and it disrupts people. Like I said, it can get them out of stealth. It's really nice to have, in my opinion. I love it. All right. Now, going down the middle tree here from Mind Spike, we're going to go into Unfurling Darkness. This gives you an instant Vampiric Touch after you cast Vampiric Touch. This does get procced off of Damnation itself, so you can get Damnation into an Unfurling Darkness, or just cast a VT and get Unfurling Darkness. I've had the on-hit effect of Unfurling Darkness hit for like 27, 30k. It's really nice. It does a lot of damage. It's instant, and it can spread your dots around. Then we're going to go down here to Shadow Crash. What Shadow Crash does now, guys, if you guys haven't already known, you Shadow Crash. It puts Vampiric Touch on all targets in the area, up to 8 targets. So great for pets, great for melee cleaves, but also when you run Misery, it also puts on Shadow Wear Pain, right? So you can Shadow Crash, VT everybody, and Shadow Wear Pain everybody for free. Once again, no casting. Everything here so far is just free casting damage. Then down here, Psychic Link instead of Whispers of a Dam. You can run either, but in this scenario, since we're running an AoE build, and I have a lot of people come into my channel and saying, hey, you should try Psychic Link out. It definitely can work. I've been doing a lot, like I said, I've been doing a lot of testing with a million different builds. So there are different builds out there. None is just one say so, all for all build. Whatever you guys feel comfortable with, go ahead and try. So I am open to, send me you guys' builds, and I'll see what works. I have a bunch of different, like I said, a bunch of different people have come in, and this build is based off of other people's builds that I have gotten, but what I think works best. So I've had a bunch of different people come in, and this is why I feel it works best for the different builds I've seen for an AoE consistent damage, no all proc base, almost no casting build. So Psychic Link, Mind Blast, Mind Flay, and Mind Spike deal 60% of their damage to another target. All the targets that have Vampiric Touch in 40 yards, essentially the entire arena, right? Then you go Encroaching Shadows. I will never get rid of this. Like I've shown you guys, just applying a Devouring Plague does way too much damage. I love it. That on-hit effect is insane. So that's where we're going to go down this side of the tree. The middle, the only thing I have is Dark Ascension, as you guys can see. I did mess around with an Auspicious Spirits build just because I want Auspicious Spirits, but that makes me have to take Ancient Madness, and I lost too much of other things that I personally like myself, so I didn't want to drop them. For instance, having to drop Dark Evangelism. Well, Vampiric Touch is a lot of the time my top damage, and this just boosts it, right? So not dropping that. Anyways, Dark Ascension. It's going up here, Coalition Shadows. Your Mind Seer Shadow Wear Pain damage has a 6% chance to give you Coalition Shadows, and your Mind Flay has a 25% chance to give you Coalition Shadows, stacking 3 times. Mind Blast and Mind Spike deal 10% per stack additional damage, so up to 30% damage. And then when you hit that and you break it with a Mind Spike or a Mind Blast, you get 10% dot damage, which buffs the rest of your dots, which buffs the rest of your passive damage that's going through, which, if you get procs, passive damage, again, no casting, as much stacking as you can do as possible, the better. So this goes with your instant procs too, right? So you can get an instant Surge of Darkness for 200% additional damage, 3 stack Coalition Shadows, 30% more of that. I've had like 20k, 25k Mind Spikes, just instant Mind Spikes, right? Like, just, that's free. Just, it's free damage just because they proc off of each other. And then you get 10% more dot damage. Puppet Master, since I have, you guys see I have Mind Bender down here. Puppet Master, every time the Mind Bender or Shadow Fiend attacks, you get a Close in Shadow, right? And then your apparitions give you 8% chance to get a Close in Shadow. So just your regular casting from Mind Spikes, Mind Blast, Devouring Plagues, and then you get your shadowy apparitions from your Devouring Plagues and Mind Blast. Those can give you Coalition Shadows, and then that buffs everything as well, right? So I love having that. Harness Shadows, this is a two-parter. It just increases how often you can proc your Coalition Shadows from your abilities that are up here. It's just a passive proc, but then also anytime you get critically strike, you get a Coalition Shadows. So you're getting Coalition Shadows all the time in Arena, or even in Battlegrounds. Make a lot more in Battlegrounds, I would say, because AoE. So then you go down here to Mindbender instead of Shadow Fiend, and this is where it varies. Okay, I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, you have Shadow or Death right here, or Death Speaker. Go Pain and Death." You could get 26% more damage and have AoE Death. That is true. You could run that. I like an Inescapable Torment. I like having the Mind Blast and Death makes your Shadow Fiend teleport and do AoE damage. So they both do AoE damage, but you also get through your procs, right? Because you're not gonna have Death up all the time, but you're gonna get a lot more Mind Blast, Mind Spikes into Mind Blast, so on and so forth, and maybe Death procs. That when you have your Mind Bender out, you can get a lot more consistency at an Inescapable Torment. While this is only through your Shadow Word Death, so I think I am, as you can see, I do have the Death Speaker here. I am running that for this build. I'm already having that huge Shadow Word Death damage. Adding a little bit more or having more consistency, like in the last guide I told you guys, I like my consistency. I think this is a better one, but you can run whatever. It's up to y'all, okay? Going down here, Shadowy Insight. Mind Blast gains an additional charge, so you get 2 Mind Blasts. That works really good with your Mind Bender and Inescapable Torment build. That's really nice. And, of course, your Insidious Ire. But Shadow or Pain, periodic damage has a chance to reset it and make it instant. That's the best part about it. Instant Mind Blast. Like I was saying, you can get a Mind Melt and a Mind Blast at the same time. 2 back-to-backs with your Insidious Ire up. Bam. Spam it. All right, Dark Evangelism. Your Mind Flay gives you a stacking. You're not going to use Mind Seer or Void Torrent if you're having Damnation. So your Mind Flay will stack up 5 times, giving you 10% more dot damage. So this just passively increases your damage. And then Death Speaker. Your Shadow Word Pain damage has a chance to reset the cooldown of your Shadow Word Death and give it 150% additional damage regardless of the target's health. Now, keep in mind, a Death Speaker proc also stacks with the Shadow Word Death. Damage is increased by 150% below targets below 20% HP. So if you get a Death Speaker proc and you're about to get somebody below 20%, just wait, and then you get a huge, like, 60, 80k, 90k death. If you hold it. Now, if they're low, or if they're not low and you have it, just use it. Just send it. If you're not going to get them below, just get the proc out of the way, and get that additional damage. It's like essentially having a Catharsis, right? You can do a Catharsis and a Death Speaker proc, and you can do some decent damage that way, consistent damage. Just send it how you guys will. All right? So that is the talents that we are running. And then PvP talents, Catharsis, lock it in 100% of the time. Void Volley in this build, I feel, is very viable. Mainly, the reason I say that is you're not going to cast a lot, so precognition isn't as important in this specific build since it's almost no casting. It's all procs. You wait for procs to happen, which they happen all the time, and then you can use your fillers with like Mind Flay or Dispels or whatever just to keep up your Dark Evangelism, or just to purge people and just get that that insanity or whatever, just so you have downtime. You don't need to cast all the time, right? Like, you're gonna have dots out there. So Void Volley is really good for your go, right? You pop Dark Ascension, Void Volley everybody, they can't stop you. You're just spamming out all your damage, and they're taking damage, and Void Volley does a lot of damage now. So I feel like Void Volley is really good here. But if you guys are still kind of like learning, and you guys are still overcasting, or you just don't want to get CC'd, you can run Precog. Another thing you guys can run in this build is Driven to Madness. So that way, every time you take damage, you get a faster Dark Ascension, so you can get more just pumpage damage, proc damage, right? A Dark Ascension buffs all these procs because none of them are dot based other than Idol Nazoth. So you can just spam more damage out. And if you want to do more goes faster, like maybe in an RPS build, if you're playing RPS, sorry, so every 20 seconds you can have a go, essentially. You can run Driven to Madness. And if you guys are really, really scared of getting kicked, you can run Void Origins as well, so you don't get kicked with a Driven to Madness, or you can run a Void Origins, Void Volley for you newer players who are just really scared of getting kicked on damage, or even if you're just playing against, like, I don't know, Shaman, uh, TSG, or Shaman, Windwalker, DK, or whatever. So many kicks, you don't want to get kicked. You can run Precog if you wish, but if you don't want to, you can run this, right? I'd recommend, like I said, in a build like this, running Siphene, Void Volley, Catharsis, or the regular build, Precog, Siphene, Catharsis. Siphene just has a lot of value. It's really hard to not play Siphene, but you don't need it. Like I said, there are builds you don't have to use it in, but I'm probably going to run a lot of this build when I run this specific talent build for maximizing damage. Probably in solo queue, I'll run a lot of this build in solo queue just to do a maximum pumpage, not be stopped. You'll see me probably running a lot of this for that. That's the reason why I was testing it. It seems like a very good solo queue build, and it can be a really good shadow play build when all you're doing is just hitting whoever and you get procs and you hit somebody. So, but yeah, this is a proc AoE build. Like I said, PvP talents can vary based on where you're going. There are other things to run in the build. Again, not one is best. But this is my version of the proc AoE build. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. I'm going to try to put out as many builds and guides as I can. Like I said, I do like this build a lot based on what I've been testing. Thank you all the shadowpriests out there who have been messaging me through Discord or PMing me, just finding more builds out. So there's so many things you can run. But I think you guys will enjoy this one. Most people, I think, will enjoy this one since it's all proc based, no casting, spamming. You're gonna see your meters go off the freaking hingy. I think you guys will enjoy it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and catch me at twitch.tv/Aphobia All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys a quick rotation because I forgot. I'm gonna show you guys kind of just what it looks like, damage wise, kind of breakdown wise, and proc wise. So we're gonna do only 2 targets, right? I'm hitting only 2 targets. Realistically, we might have 2 targets in arena dotted, maybe 3 if you don't have pets, right? So let's just go ahead and damnation this guy, put it in front of darkness on this guy, right? Okay, so let's just say you're doing a go with your damage, right? You can pop Dark Ascension, throw out your Mindbender, Death instantly, throw out a Devouring Plague, throw out a Mind Blast, throw out another proc, another Mind Blast, another Mind Blast, recast that up, Shadow Crash, right? Redot that guy. And this is kind of just all, obviously I'm not using Mind Games right now, I'm just showing you guys procs, but just show you guys the breakdown of how the damage is going to look, okay? So that's a basic breakdown of just damage without using, Siphene or Mind Games, okay? I just got this guy right here. Perfect example to show you guys with the Death and Madness, right? He's almost in death range. I death him. He didn't die. I death him again, right? Oh, look, now I got a Death Speaker proc, 3rd death, right? So things like that could happen, right? You could death, they still don't die. Painbreakers, death. So that's that example. Now let's go ahead and see the breakdown of the overall breakdown. Okay, so Inescapable Torment did 119, Psychic Link did 119, Mindbender did 108, Echoing Void did 140, Shadow Word Death did 132, Void Volley did 174. Obviously, I hit those targets on the side, but if you guys can see, even with all that, right, VT was still my highest damage. This is why I was telling you guys VT is insane. You can just buff your VT up there, right? That's why I think having Coalition Shadows and having Dark Evangelism is so strong. I know a lot of people, you see some builds don't have it, but your VT does a lot of damage. It's a procer. It does a lot. It does a lot, right? So that being said, look at this, all the passive damage you guys are getting, right? Void Volley damage, Echoing Void damage, Shadow Word Death damage, Inescapable Torment damage, Psychic Link damage, and this is only on 1 target, right? See, there's only 2 targets I'm hitting here. So if you had more targets, you'd have more Psychic Link, you'd have more Inescapable Torments. This is just passive damage you guys are doing here, because it's all proc based, and you don't really have to cast anything. Every now and then, you're gonna have to recast a VT or whatever, but it just feels very clean. It feels a very clean and efficient build. So again, there's more into it. There's still burst you have to put into it, right? Just to help you guys out a little bit. Before you do your burst, I would recommend throwing out your Mindbender first. just so if you get kicked on Dark Ascension, you have your Mind Bender out there. But let's just say if you're not running instant Ascension, but let's just say this is a generic burst, right? And you actually want to get your damage rotation out. I generally will run in. I will Damnation. I will throw out my pet. I will Power Infusion. I will then go into my Dark Ascension into all Mind Games, into the Death, into the Mind Spike, into the Faster Mind Blast, another Death Speaker proc, and then Siphene out of the CC, right? Because obviously we'll be cross CCing, I'll be CCing the healer, and then you want to Siphon at the end of your CC chain. That way, when it comes out, they're big heals, they're going to be almost dead. We'll absorb it, okay? Look, another Dust Speaker proc, another Mind Blast proc, another Devouring Plague. I love this build. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, a lot of these have come from other people. Like people wanted me to play Death Speaker instead of minus Insanity because it's harder for them to run Insanity, or it's overthinking it. So I'm doing that. I had a Psychic Link build instead of the Whispers of the Dam, which either one of these I think are fine. You can get more Insanity for more Devouring Plagues with this one, or you can just do Cleave with this one. So up to y'all. But all right, there's the basic rotation. I hope y'all enjoy. And now I'll see you guys next time.